Brightline was once boldly celebrated as the dazzling future of American rail, cutting edge, high speed, and entirely private. But now, things are taking a sharp and unsettling turn. Behind the glossy surface, troubling issues are surfacing: financial instability, escalating political opposition, and pressing safety challenges that demand attention. Honestly, Brightline might be barreling toward a full-blown crisis. Is the dream of reinventing train travel in America coming undone? In this video, we're diving deep into the storm behind the spotlight, uncovering the real challenges Brightline is facing. And hey, if you're passionate about trains, transit, and underdog stories that matter, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Let's ride this out together. Brightline is a privately owned intercity rail company aiming to modernize American train travel with fast, eco-friendly service. Launched in 2018 in South Florida, it currently connects Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach, and has recently expanded to Orlando in 2023, dramatically reducing travel times across the state. Backed by Fortress Investment Group, Brightline has boosted local economies, spurred urban development around its stations, and provided a greener alternative to driving. Its most ambitious future project, Brightline West, plans to link Las Vegas to Southern California with high-speed rail reaching up to 200 miles per hour, offering a game-changing option for travel in the region. While the Florida expansion already marked a major step forward, the upcoming Brightline West project is estimated to cost over $12 billion, funded through a mix of private investment and federal grants. As a result of the effort to promote passenger services, Brightline has achieved positive developments in its train services. In March 2025, Brightline Florida showed strong performance with noticeable growth in both ridership and revenue compared to the previous year. Monthly ridership increased by 8%, reaching 280,003 passengers, while year-to-date ridership rose 10% to 793,432 passengers. A key driver of this growth was the significant increase in long-distance travel, which surged by 19% for the month and 26% year-to-date. In contrast, short-distance ridership declined by 3% in March and 8% year-to-date, indicating a shift in passenger preference toward longer routes. Average fares also reflected this trend. While the average fare for short-distance passengers decreased slightly by 2% to $33.41 in March, the average fare for long-distance passengers rose by 3% to $82.38. As a result, the overall average fare per passenger increased by 6% to $61.37 for the month. This pricing trend contributed to the robust growth in ticket revenue, particularly from long-distance routes, which saw a 23% increase for the month and a 20% rise year-to-date. Meanwhile, short-distance ticket revenue declined by 5% in March and 8% year-to-date. Additional revenue also contributed positively, growing 11% for the month and 9% year-to-date, further enhancing the company's financial performance. Total revenue for March reached $20.8 million, marking a 15% increase from the previous year, while year-to-date revenue climbed 12% to $54.6 million. Brightline's Aventura station is strategically located near Aventura Mall, making it a prime spot for passenger convenience. However, US Highway 1, also known as Biscayne Boulevard, runs between the station and the mall, creating a significant barrier to pedestrian access. To address this, plans were made to construct a pedestrian bridge across Biscayne Boulevard. This bridge would directly connect the Brightline station to property owned by Aventura Mall, significantly improving safety and accessibility for pedestrians. The original timeline aimed for the bridge to open by Thanksgiving 2024. However, due to construction delays and logistical setbacks, the opening has now been postponed to Thanksgiving 2025. In the meantime, Brightline had provided a shuttle service to link the station and the mall. Unfortunately, the shuttle was recently discontinued. Without the bridge or shuttle, customers are now forced to take the bus to travel between the station and the mall, a situation that defeats the original purpose of the station's convenient proximity to Aventura Mall. This lack of easy, direct access frustrates passengers, making the Brightline service feel much less convenient and diminishing the value proposition for those hoping to use it for shopping or leisure. Compounding frustration over the delay, parts of the bridge structure, specifically some aerial components, have been sitting unused in a nearby parking lot for over 5 months. Commissioner Eileen Higgins expressed her concern. "So we've got a $20 million bridge sitting in a parking lot rather than under construction." The stalled progress leaves customers and local officials alike questioning when the promised improvements will finally materialize. Another factor that could significantly diminish Brightline's customer experience is the use of full-body advertising wraps on its trains. Brightline has embraced this approach with high-profile campaigns, such as those for Orlando Health and Visit Orlando. While these bold, colorful ads may be eye-catching and effective at promoting partner brands, they come at a notable cost to the passenger experience. The issue lies in the fact that these wraps often extend over the train's windows. Although the vinyl film is perforated with tiny holes to technically allow light through, the reality for passengers is quite different. The view becomes heavily obscured, dark, blurry, and distorted. What should be a pleasant and relaxing opportunity to watch Florida's landscapes drift by turns into a frustrating visual barrier. This isn't just a minor annoyance, it can have a real impact on the enjoyment and comfort of the journey. Passenger feedback reinforces this sentiment. "I don't care about the ads until they cover the windows. Florida might not be that scenic, but looking through those dots makes me feel sick." However, some back Brightline up on this. You realize the more profitable Brightline is, the more it can invest both to improve service and expand service to other cities. Though this doesn't look like it. Out of the 5 original Brightline stations, Boca Raton consistently draws the fewest passengers. Yet, despite its lackluster performance, Brightline is still obligated to run the same number of trains there as it does at the much busier Fort Lauderdale station, raising questions about resource allocation and efficiency. In a bid to inject some life into the underperforming stop, the city of Boca Raton has launched a revitalization effort. The plan sounds ambitious, adding shops, homes, and businesses, but whether it will draw people in remains uncertain. Still, the city is pressing on, selecting a developer to overhaul the aging 30-acre City Hall site near the station. The redevelopment calls for 2.5 million square feet of new construction, over 1,000 apartments, 157,000 square feet of retail, and even more office space. Though not a lot of citizens are in favor of this plan.
"You're wasting time and money. I feel like it was shoved down our throats."
But whether it will succeed in reshaping the area or just add to the surplus of unused development is anyone's guess. Meanwhile, the outlook for the planned Brightline station in Stuart is even murkier. City officials refuse to apply for a federal grant that would fund the station, wary of saddling local taxpayers with the $30 million price tag. They insist Brightline should foot half the bill, a demand rooted in years of animosity, lawsuits, and unresolved disputes between the city and the rail company. In contrast, Martin County has already struck a deal with Brightline and is ready to move ahead. But without Stuart's cooperation, the necessary grant application hangs in limbo. Frustrated county leaders have threatened legal action if the city doesn't budge. "If the city won't help us get the grant money," one official warned, "we'll have to handle this in court." A costly and divisive option that could drag out the process even longer. At a recent community meeting, discontent boiled over. "As a taxpayer in the county, I don't agree with paying for a private company," one person said bluntly. Another resident questioned the logic of funding a project that doesn't require the company itself to contribute. "How can we agree to this without asking the company to put in any money?" Despite the backlash, county officials remain unshaken, refusing to renegotiate the deal with Brightline. Brightline is at a critical crossroads. What began as a bold promise to reinvent American rail is now overshadowed by mounting financial strain, political resistance, and deepening community distrust, especially in cities like Stuart and Boca Raton. Delays to key infrastructure, like the Aventura pedestrian bridge, have only amplified frustrations, while questionable decisions, such as running underperforming routes and cutting essential shuttle services, raise real concerns about leadership and priorities. Add to that the widely known safety issues and ongoing labor disputes, and the sheen of Brightline's brand is beginning to wear thin. If the company hopes to stay on track, it must confront these challenges head-on, before public confidence disappears completely. Thanks for tuning in today, everyone. Subscribe, and we will see you next time.